The sun hung low in the sky, its golden rays stretching over the vast expanse of Kurukshetra as two oceans of warriors stood facing each other. The air vibrated with the hum of conches, drums, and the tense whispers of men who knew that history was about to be written with blood. Elephants snorted, horses pawed the ground, armor gleamed like scattered pieces of the Sunday. Arjuna, the famed archer of the Pandavas, stood atop his chariot, gripping the reins with fingers stiff from years of training and battle. His breath was steady until he looked. His eyes darted across the sea of soldiers, and then they stopped. For in the opposite army stood not faceless warriors, but familiar faces, faces from childhood memories, family gatherings, and lessons at the training grounds. There, he saw his grandfather Bhishma, the white-haired warrior, tall and serene, a pillar of righteousness, standing at the heart of the Kaurava army. His heart clenched. A few paces away, the stern face of Drona, his beloved teacher, stood with armor shining like fire. Drona, who had taught him the art of war, now raised his bow against him. He blinked, trying to look away, but the faces kept coming. There stood Bhurisravas, another elder, his father's peer, standing tall amidst the warriors. His uncles, Saibya, and others, armored and resolute, ready to die for their king. Duryodhan, the arrogant brother of his cousins, stood front and center, his eyes sharp and full of defiance. Lakshmana, his own son, stood with trembling lips but steady hands, and beyond him, the sons of Lakshmana, his grandsons, eager but terrified. He saw Drupada, his father-in-law, standing firm, a warrior of great renown. Nearby, Aswathama, fierce-eyed, son of Drona, and his friend from the past, stood ready, eyes burning like coals. Kritavarma, a trusted well-wisher, stood nearby, holding his spear, determined to fight to the last breath. The faces, all the faces, they blurred, merging into one another. For this was not a war between strangers, it was war between bloodlines, between shared memories, between family bonds. A sudden wave of dizziness gripped him. His hands, once steady on the bowstring, began to tremble. "Is this what destiny has written for me?" he whispered to himself. "Shall I raise my bow against those I once called my own?" His heart pounded like 1,000 drums. The battlefield, once clear, now seemed a storm cloud of emotions, fear, love, grief, and duty colliding like thunderclaps in his mind. His eyes watered as old memories surged forward. He remembered sitting at the feet of Drona, his teacher, learning the art of warfare with the others. "Focus, Arjuna. The arrow must fly straight," Drona had told him, slapping his back gently. He saw Bhishma laughing as a child, telling tales of valor and dharma by the fireside, wrapping him in stories of righteousness and sacrifice. He remembered Lakshmana running toward him, cheeks flushed, asking, "Father, teach me to shoot an arrow as sharp as yours." He remembered Drupada, stern yet affectionate, sharing counsel at family gatherings. He remembered Aswathama's sharp wit and fiery temper, their camaraderie deep like brothers bound by fate. The faces were no longer warriors. They were fathers, grandfathers, brothers, sons, and friends. His throat tightened. His bow slipped from his grip. Can I truly raise my hand against them? Against those who loved me? Against those who shaped who I am? His eyes scanned the lines of soldiers once more, and he saw their faces soft, as if waiting for him to recognize them. Some even smiled gently. But their armor told a different story. They were ready to fight, to kill, or be killed. The chariot rocked slightly as his knees buckled. Krishna, his charioteer, watched silently, his eyes filled with compassion yet unwavering calm. But Arjuna's vision swam with confusion, sorrow, and dread. Arjuna's mind wrestled with conflicting thoughts. What is duty? He asked himself aloud. Is it loyalty to family or loyalty to righteousness? If I fight, I destroy my lineage. If I retreat, I abandon my duty. His palms sweated, his throat constricted. The conches of both armies echoed like roaring seas. He whispered, "How can victory matter if it demands the death of those I love? Shall I win the throne and lose my soul?" His eyes welled up, his lips quivered. He remembered Bhishma's advice, given with love. A Kshatriya's path is not easy. Honor demands sacrifice. But honor seemed cruel in this moment. His heart raced. His breath came short. "My limbs feel frozen. My bow is slipping from my hand. My skin burns and my body trembles. What am I to do?" He turned toward Krishna helplessly. "Krishna, what shall I do?" His eyes pleaded for guidance. He fell silent, his chest heaving with grief. Around him, the battle lines waited, frozen like statues, as though time itself paused, witnessing his torment. Krishna did not interrupt. He simply observed his dear friend with quiet wisdom. His calm presence seemed like a mountain amidst a stormy sea. His eyes shone with understanding, but he gave no premature advice. Arjuna, struggling to gather himself, felt both ashamed and comforted by Krishna's steady gaze. For a moment, Krishna smiled softly, as if to say, "I am here, even if you are lost." Arjuna's tears threatened to spill, but he bit his lip. His fingers clenched his bowstring tighter, as if trying to hold himself together. Yet the sight of his kin standing in battle lines again overwhelmed him. What if I strike them down? Will their blood stain my hands forever? What if I retreat? Will I betray my people? The questions multiplied like shadows at dusk. His eyes continued scanning. Fathers Bhurisravas and others stood solemn and proud, their hearts likely filled with hope that he would fulfill his duty. Grandfathers Bhishma and others stood with heavy hearts, yet unwavering. Teachers Drona and others looked at him with quiet expectation, waiting for his resolve. Uncle Saibya and others stood with steady arms and grim faces, ready to charge. Brothers Duryodhan and others stood eager for conquest, filled with pride and aggression. Sons Lakshmana and others looked at him with trust and confusion, yearning for his protection. Grandsons, the sons of Lakshmana and others, stood barely understanding the gravity of war. Friends, Aswathama and others stood fierce and ready, bound by loyalty to their side. Fathers-in-law Draupad and others stood grim-faced, torn between blood relations and royal duty. Well-wishers Kritavarma and others stood resolute, prepared to defend their comrades at any cost. Each face was more than a soldier. It was a memory, a bond, a chapter of his life. His heart shattered under the weight of compassion and despair. The battlefield, once a place of glory and pride, now became a stage of unbearable sorrow. Arjuna clutched his chest as his tears rolled down his cheeks. "My mind is shattered. My body shakes. I cannot fight these people." His lips quivered, his eyes blurred. "I would rather beg for alms than slay those I love. I do not desire the throne, nor the pleasures it brings. I cannot kill Bhishma. I cannot strike down Drona. I cannot destroy my own blood." His bow, Gandiva, slipped from his hands and crashed against the chariot floor with a dull thud. A deep silence fell over him. His head bowed, his shoulders collapsed, and he sat frozen as if drained of life. The roar of conches, the stamping of horses, the banners fluttering in the wind, all seemed distant echoes. Arjuna sat there, overwhelmed by emotion, his heart torn apart by love, duty, fear, and despair. Krishna looked at him, eyes filled with compassion and concern, waiting for him to voice his turmoil. And voice it he did. With trembling lips, through choking sobs, he whispered, "Krishna, I do not know what is right anymore. Teach me, show me the path forward." His eyes lifted toward Krishna, seeking solace amidst the storm that raged within him. The battle had not yet begun, but Arjuna's war within himself had already been unleashed.